like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules, my life destroyed, life destroyed. Until I walk awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break? Can I take? Can I be your superhero? Fly away. It's the first time of today. Today. To dream, believe. You are the strength, you're all I need. Oh, gonna give it a shot. Only one of me to shield you all from the enemy. You're a superhero. You're a superhero.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Grindstone Developments Truck Series live tonight from beautiful Watkins Glen International Raceway for the first and only road course race of the season. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Qualifying is completed. Arguably the most daunting race of the season is here, and it is going to be interesting to see who is going to have what it takes to get the job done here tonight at the Glen. Let's get right down trackside and get into tonight's starting grid. The man taking the pole in the track, again deemed the trickiest of the season, is none other than the 99 to Bryce Rayner. Puts down a 1 minute and 13-second flat lap to put himself in that lead position. Toby Riddles will start up front on the outside pole in the second spot. It'll be Noah Jackson back in third. Jason Nethery, he'll roll off fourth tonight. It's James Harris back in the fifth position. Harley Barletta in the 31 truck. He'll roll off from the sixth spot. Trey Whitehead making a return here tonight. He'll start from the seventh position with William Mann Jr. to his outside in eighth. Brad Thacker rolls off ninth, and it's Tyler Meeks rounding out the top 10. Brock Whitehead, he'll roll off from the 11th spot here tonight. Back on the outside of row number 6 is going to be George Young. Chris Logan back in the 13th spot with Mike Hill to his outside in 14th. And Charles Whitehead rounding out the field tonight. He will start in 15th. All right, let's get right into the race info because, again, Watkins Glen, a road course. These guys not only going to turn left tonight, but they'll also be turning right. Watkins Glen, a total of just under a 2.5-mile road course, so not the biggest one of all the options that these guys could have went to, but certainly one of the originals when you think about real-life NASCAR. They've been going to the Glen for quite a while, and looks like the race info did not give us the automatic update, so I'll get that updated here in just a moment for everybody. But again, track temp tonight, not going to be an issue. It's going to be all about who can manage tire wear, because that is certainly going to be something that's going to be a problem here. The guys that wear out their tires are really going to struggle, especially in the long run, because remember here, there's a lot more ability, I guess would be the word, to spin the tires. You're coming out of some of these slow corners, and these things have a lot of horsepower, but they don't necessarily have a lot of downforce. So the field works their way through the bus stop, and we'll go by corners more by names here tonight, but I believe it's either 11 or 12 different corners here at Watkins Glen. This is the carousel that they're working through now, and passing zones here are a little bit interesting. There's a few spots where you really don't want to get caught dead in the water trying to go side by side, but other places certainly seems to work. So we'll have to keep an eye on who can get it done. By the way, other big note tonight, no cautions. So if you wreck, you got to get the truck going and try to get it back on the racetrack. And that's certainly something you got to be careful of early. I think turn one could be kind of chaos here, especially on the first lap, as everybody's going to be on cold tires. First time diving in there together as a pack. So that'll be the big thing to watch for. But Bryce Rayner still looking for his first win of the season. It has been a struggle so far, but here tonight he is going to have the ability to change all of that, potentially make himself a race winner. Again, 95-degree track temp here at Watkins Glen as we are starting to slowly close in towards the end of the season. Only road course. Here we go. Bryce Rayner will lead him into the restart zone. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at the Glen. Good restart for the 99. Turn one, the big question mark. How does everybody get in? Do they get okay? Still 2x2. So far, so good up front. Further back, a few of them going wide. Couple off tracks, but no issues now up through the S's as they climb the hill for the first time. Already battling out for second. Ritters is going to lose the spot to the 20 of Noah Jackson. Ritters fights back, but it's going to be Jackson who gets the advantage here down the straightaway. Fastest part of the racetrack here as you come up to the bus stop. Rayner, though, still looking well out in front of the rest of the field. He's not going to have an issue. But watch out back here. Oh, man, Ritter's got a little bit of front bumper from Noah Jackson. Now the 34 gets loose. Here comes James Harris. He's going to try to slot up the inside. Can't do it. And Harley Barletta was looking to take advantage. Bryce Rayner already well over a second gap on the rest of the field, but you can tell further out back, everybody's still tight in a pack here fighting for position. Now Harris on the outside. Nethery, if he can hold that spot, is going to get the advantage down here into the final two corners. And he'll get that back. A couple more off tracks. Ritter's getting way off trouble. We got one sliding. Is he going to go around? Yes, he is. First wreck of the night. Who else gets involved in this? Couldn't tell who it was. I think it might have been Mike Hill. No, it was William Mann Jr., the 29 that went around and hit the outside wall, but I don't see much damage. He loses all of his track position, though, now in the back. Meanwhile, up front, it was Bryce Rayner who led lap number 1. And only 33 laps, the distance we're going to go here tonight. But you got to remember, each lap about 1 minute and 15 seconds. So that's a lot of time here, and there will be a pit stop that will need to be made at some point. It's going to be a question of which drivers decide to pit when. And, you know, I got a chance to practice just a little bit here earlier, and one thing I noticed that was odd about this track is when you come up the hill and out of that final S-turn, the truck gets really loose, which you wouldn't expect it to because it's a little bit of a bank turn, and it's not like it's, you know, really a tight radius turn. It's a very odd one, and you got to be careful because the truck tries to jump around. But everybody, for the most part, has kept it surprisingly clean. And I say that as a compliment, not anything on these guys, but again, this is one of those tracks where drivers have trouble on cold tires, especially when you're in a big group. But we only had one truck spin around on that first lap. Everybody else has been nose to tail racing hard since. So we now turn back to the 10th place running Brock Whitehead in the 61. He's looking to the inside here. Tyler Meeks coming out of the final corner, but he's not going to be able to get any momentum down the straightaway. I think if you're James Harris here, you got to be feeling pretty good about that start. You know, all things considered, I know he loses 2 positions, but the biggest thing was just everybody trying to keep the truck clean, and maybe that's why a few of these guys that qualified further up front had dropped a few positions out of the gate, because everybody had the mindset that we're going to see so many wrecks rather on that first lap to just keep it clean and you'll gain a bunch of spots, but that just didn't happen. And so now it's a battle of, can you get that track position back before things get too spread out here? Noah Jackson, one of the fastest trucks last week, trying to get some redemption after strategy didn't quite play out in his favor. And then Harley Barletta still working on the 3 of Toby Ritters here. He's been trying to find a way around him here a few times. Nothing doing. Got a report there that Charles Whitehead may have had a brief off-track moment, but seems to be okay as he's gotten it back in the right direction now. And I should note here, as we do keep watching the 51, as they come out of this corner, you see how he goes wide. He goes way past the rumble strips, off the racing surface. You can do that in that corner with no penalty, but as they come up to the final 2 corners, this is a spot where in real life NASCAR you see guys like to run wide past the rumble strips. You can't do that here in the sim. It will count as a penalty, especially if you go too wide. In the other corner you can't do that, and as Whitehead's going to loop it, trying to straighten it back out here, but it's going to go all the way around on him. He'll have to reverse. No more traffic. He'll get it back going in the right direction, but I was going to say down in turn 1, that's the other corner that you can't go nearly as wide as they do in real life on, is now Mike Hill. He has looped it around on the exit of turn number 1. And for Hill, and almost with how early he was spun into that corner, I almost think he just got in too hot. Started wheel hopping here. Let's see if that's the case. Oh yeah, way too hot. You can already see the truck starting to slide and never really has a chance to make the corner. Spins it out. Gets it back going. No harm, no foul, but certainly going to put some more wear on those Goodyear tires. 71 Trey Whitehead. Boy, he is digging right now. Trying to see if he can get up here and attack the 34 of Jason Ethery. He hasn't had any luck with it just yet, but you start to see the back tires sliding around as much as they are for him, and got to think it's just a matter of time. You saw them both briefly go off track there. No penalties awarded, though. It'll just count as an incident. And draft isn't really a big factor here. I would argue maybe you get a little bit on the back straightaway, but just not enough speed on the front stretch for it to really matter. In turn 1, obviously a great opportunity to make a pass, but it's just so easy to overship it into the corner. And if you get the rear wheels hopping at all, I mean, it just sends the truck around, as it did for Mike Hill that we saw a couple of laps ago. So you got to be really patient with these passes. Sometimes you only get one shot at it between the green flag and the first pit stop. Right now, Whitehead's still showing a lot of patience. Nobody going to dare to go 2x2 through the bus stop unless you have no other choice. But knowing that we don't have another restart here tonight, I still wonder how that changes the mentality as we show you live now. The onboard view here. This is for Trey Whitehead, currently sitting in that 4th spot. For Trey, again, the driver out of Cleburne, Texas, getting really, really loose right there. Coming out of the carousel, but looks pretty smooth. He keeps running wide in the second to last corner here, but you'd rather run wide than spin the truck out, trying to get it to bite a little bit sooner. And I'm still seeing reports here popping up left and right about trucks going off track and having issues, but doesn't seem to be anything major, at least not at the moment. And the other driver carrying an onboard view for us here tonight is the man who I think right now feels like this could be his best shot and his first win of the season. Bryce Rayner, 5 seconds ahead of anybody else, and that gap continues to extend each and every lap. He is on fire right now with the lap times that he is putting down, and sometimes that's the difference, is when you get to these real technical tracks, who can run the quickest. And for Bryce Rayner here, as we hop on the onboard view, a couple things to notice here, and we'll pull up the telemetry and track map for you. Just watch the different speeds, and I know you won't be able to see telemetry yet. We'll show you that in a minute, but on the track map, notice it's a very interesting shaped track. It's a lot more straightaway time than some of the road courses that these guys could have gone to. But that final corner right here, not much banking, and if you miss it, you can see as he gets on the exit, that outside wall is right there, so you got to be really careful. Rayner down the straightaway, and this is going to be the heaviest braking zone, arguably, of the whole entire track, down here to turn 1, and he makes sure that he gets the right side tires on the rumble strips. And see, on exit, as long as you keep your right side tires on the rumble strip, you can go that wide. You just can't get all 4 tires to the left of those rumble strips. That's where the issue comes in. And speed-wise, I think the S's section is probably the most scary, because, again, you're going so fast in a truck that really doesn't have the downforce to be running a road course. But Rayner able to make easy work of it right now. Smooth through the bus stop as you see the truck hop around just a little bit. Certainly no issues there, and his gap now up to about 6.3 seconds on second place Noah Jackson, who we talked about last week. Had a great shot at it at Kentucky, but tried to get in a little bit too conservative. Felt like the tires were too worn out to really do anything more with it. And unfortunately, that ended up being the time that cost him the race. So he's certainly looking for some redemption here with another podium here tonight. Nethery and Trey Whitehead still close together. And the 31 of Barletta and Ritters not too separated. James Harris still trying to track down the 7 of Tyler Meeks. Brad Thacker and Brock Whitehead, the other 2 trucks, running almost nose to tail at the moment. We'll see if Brock's able to set him up here for a pass. He's going to look to the inside. Does he have it? He does not. Whitehead taking kind of that nose dive approach, if you will. But he wasn't quite able to make anything happen, and looks like we got a pit stop here. James Harris, he's going to go with the early stop strategy. These guys are now in the fuel window. For Harris, deciding, let's go in now, get the pit stop over with. And I'm curious to see if he decides to take tires or not. I would assume fuel was arguably pretty close. I think the bigger question was going to be if these guys take a set of Goodyears or not on the pit stop. And for Harris here, I'm not going to see. Nope. Doesn't look like either side's going to get jacked up, so the call is fuel only. All right, that's something to watch here, especially as we see some of the leaders come in. Do they also go with the same strategy of no tires and just fuel? So James Harris will blend back out. That'll put him at the back of the field for the moment, behind the 51 of Charles Whitehead. But Harris will certainly look now to focus towards the end of the race, knowing that he's got that pit stop out of the way. And we'll see if anybody else decides to try to follow that strategy. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You're watching the Watkins Glen 33 for the Grindstone Developments Truck Series. Noah Jackson still in second. Trey Whitehead third. Is Charles Whitehead here getting a report? Did he have some more trouble? He did. Coming through the bus stop, he got in the grass. It's going to cost the 51 a little bit more time. And right there, look how loose you get as you go over the rumble strips coming out of the carousel. That's the other spot that you got to be really careful of. And, you know, I've said that about a couple of corners. You could probably make the argument for the whole track. But it's just so interesting to watch. A guy like Bryce Rayner is so smooth that the track doesn't really look like it's all that difficult for him. But you watch some of the guys that are trying to push a little bit too hard right now, and you can just see how much they're struggling at the moment. But for Noah Jackson here, Trey Whitehead was able to get around Nethery, and now he's going to try to track down that 20 truck. And only fitting that Trey Whitehead has the Go Bowling scheme at Watkins Glen. By the way, from when we started this race at to now, track temp not really changing that much. It has gone down a couple of degrees, as it looks like maybe a little bit of cloud cover over the track at the moment. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if Trey Whitehead has found something or if Noah Jackson's slowing down a little bit, but Whitehead is really starting to close this gap up pretty quickly. And Whitehead just looks like he's so much better on the entry to the corners. Look how much deeper he gets into the braking zone. And that's where you make up time, but he's a little bit looser on exit. That's the trade-off. If he can get a good run through the S's here, this could be a big opportunity down the straightaway. He's got to run through the first part. Got to get through the uphill section clean. He's got to run. Trey Whitehead here. He's going to be maybe thinking about a move on Noah Jackson down the backstretch. Gets a little bit of draft here. The 20, though, going to play that defensive line. Now the 71 looks for a dive, but he's not going to get there. Jackson will stay in the front as they go through the bus stop. Carousel going to be another opportunity to set up for the next straightaway. You can't really make the pass through the carousel. But, oh, man, Jackson got wide. Whitehead looked a little bit better through the entry in the middle. Now he's got another big run. Is it enough, though, this time to get to the back bumper? Not just yet. Trey Whitehead continues to be just a little bit better through the braking zone, but it's not enough to get to the 20 just yet. He tries the inside line. Oh, he got loose. Tried to get in a little bit too deep. Now he's going to lose all that time he made up. He'll have to try to get it back here. We are now at 23 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. Toby Ritter's still in the top 5, chasing after Harley Barletta and Jason Nethery. We've got to give enough credit to him for the race he's running here tonight. You might have heard me mention this a couple times when I mentioned Watkins Glen on the schedule. There always seems to be some of these guys that they have a specialty for road courses, and for Nethery, who's had kind of an average season, nothing that really jumps out on the stats tonight. He is certainly putting in a good run here in the 4th spot. Going to be looking to try to go up there and contend for a podium. So Nethery certainly showing that he's got some speed at the road courses. That's Brad Thacker on an island by himself. Brock Whitehead as well. So it's really about 2nd to 3rd through 6th that are the guys all still fighting for position. As Charles Whitehead, oh no, he has gone around here. This is off of the final corner, and this time there's some pretty significant damage. This may end his race. Watch it from the blimp view here. Just loose, trying to put the throttle down, and oh man, unfortunately he hits the barrels. That explains the major damage that he sustained. I think he's going to park it. Charles Whitehead either going to take it to the pits here or calling it a night. He's reversing here. He might be trying to get to the pits. Got to be careful. Sometimes that'll give you a disqualification. Might be okay here. Again, no caution, so obviously we stay green. As, by the way, Bryce Rayner, that gap is now up to 12 seconds over the rest of the field. And I will say, if I'm Bryce, knowing that there is no cautions in this race, if I just look at that gap even once, I'm going to say, you know what? I'll back this down to probably 25% the rest of the race, and they still probably won't catch him. That's how fast the 99 has been here tonight, and he continues to try to pull that Toyota Supra further and further away from anybody else. Now, at some point, especially if he continues at the pace he's going, he will have to contend with some lap traffic. It's a question of when. As George Young has now looped it around. Oh boy, watch out. It's a dangerous area. George Young. Oh man, you like to see that. That was a veteran move right there, backing it up. He was in a very vulnerable spot for trucks coming off of turn 1, but made sure to back it up so that nobody else got involved. Touching one more time here on the point about Bryce Rayner. You can see it on the track map. Rayner's in turn 1, and there's a couple trucks here through the S's and on the backstretch, so I do think before this race is over, Bryce Rayner will catch at least some lap traffic. It's going to be more so a question of how many he gets to and where he gets to them at, but for George Young, watch this. This was a pretty close call here as he's on the inside here trying to make a pass on the 78. Chris Logan makes the pass, but just way too deep. Trying to get back on the throttle and just gets loose. Yeah, it really wasn't actually too deep in the corner. I'll take that back. It's just when he tried to get on the throttle, the back tires just didn't really link up. And then right there, backs it up. As you see, that was either James Harris or Harley Barletta there in the background. I think it was Harris, and that could have been really bad. So a nice job there by George Young to keep it out of the way and keep it clean for himself and everybody else. So we are now approaching just 20 laps to go for Bryce Rayner when he crosses the line this time, but a pit stop will still need to be made. It's going to be the question of when do they decide to make it. We'll find out the answer to that when we come back. Going to take a quick break, but we'll go side by side. Stick with us here at Watkins Glen.
played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Watkins Glen International Raceway. Bryce Rayner still out in front. Before I take you back, though, to full screen, quick reminder, not too many races left in the season, only 4 to go after tonight. Next 2 weeks, it's off to the short tracks. Richmond, followed by the Milwaukee Mile, before we head back to the Lady in Black, Darlington, and we'll cap the season off at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So some exciting races coming up, and certainly looking forward to those. But again, Bryce Rayner is the man so far here tonight and looking to stay that way. That lead now up to 16 seconds. I mean, that is, you talk about dust in the field, that is a huge advantage, as we did have a few incidents and a few more pit stops. See now that Mike Hill has fallen a lap down, as has Charles Whitehead. William Mann Jr., George Young out of the race. Chris Logan making his pit stop here in the number 70 truck. I would assume the call here would be just fuel, but we'll see if he decides to take 4 tires for some assurance. And, you know, I will add this. It's kind of interesting, but I have heard some drivers before say that sometimes at these road courses, you don't want to take tires. And I do think there's some strategy behind that. I don't know if I'd be able to go with that, but I've certainly heard some drivers say that sometimes just leaving the old tires on is better, because sometimes when you put new tires on, you got to spend a lap or two getting them up to temp, and the time you lose doing that is just not worth actually taking them. So Chris Logan makes his way out. He'll lose a lap, and there's now only 10 trucks left on the lead lap at the moment. And for James Harris, who I mentioned earlier, he's back up to 10th, and right now he's down 5 spots where he started this race at, but he's already made the pit stop, and he's still waiting for everybody else in front of him, except for potentially Tyler Meeks, to make a pit stop. And so once everybody else makes their pit stop, yeah, Tyler Meeks already went in, then for Harris and Meeks, they should be able to start to make up some positions, maybe getting inside the top 5. That'll be the big thing to watch for. So with Rayner continuing to lead, Noah Jackson still second. The best battle of the night has been, and really continues to be, between the 71 of Trey Whitehead and the 20 of Noah Jackson. Whitehead has been trying to track him down for a while. Can't seem to get by him, though, just yet. Noah Jackson trying to fend him off as Jason Nethery still has himself a pretty decent run going here tonight in that 5th spot. He did lose a position here to Harley Barletta, who has picked up 2 spots since the start of this race. Be looking for a couple more. So we've ran right about 16, 17 laps now. So in terms of fuel mileage, I don't know the exact number of how far these guys can go. On a regular 2.5 mile track such as a Daytona, oh man, Noah Jackson, hold that thought. He got really loose, and that's going to open the door. Trey Whitehead is finally going to get clear. And that's the important part about patience. at road courses is that if you pressure the guy but you don't get overly aggressive, he can make a mistake, and when he does, sometimes that's when you can try to strike. That is exactly what the 71 Whitehead did. That now puts him up into the second position, but you got to be careful because you know Noah Jackson's quick here. Big question for Noah Jackson is, can he find a way now to try to get back to the 71? Oh man, Whitehead slipped up a little bit right there on the entry to the carousel. Noah Jackson's going to try to get back to him. This guy's just so loose. The tire's pretty worn out now. You can tell some of them are really starting to struggle here as Chris Logan has gone around. He's into the wall, and that's another vulnerable spot on the racetrack, but I think everybody's going to get by okay here. Let's go back, take a quick look at what happened coming out of the carousel. Talked about somewhat cold tires, and for Chris Logan, just loops it into the wall, but luckily nobody around. Everybody that was there was able to get by without incident. So Bryce Rayner now has almost a 20-second lead over the rest of the field. Trey Whitehead still out in front. Whitehead maybe starting to get just a little bit of breathing room now between himself and Noah Jackson, as we see Mike Hill back in the pits. Harley Barletta, though, one of the top four, making his pit stop. Let's see if he takes tires. And he will. All right, so there's your answer. James Harris, who was one of the guys up near the top 5, did not take tires when he pit early. Harley Barletta, one of the guys in the top 4, decided to take 4 tires, and he pits right around the halfway point, just a little bit after here. So it'll take him a lap to get those tires up to 10. As Bryce Rayner blinks out there for just a moment, but looks like he is now back, working his way down the front stretch. He'll see now just 14 laps to go here from Watkins Glen. Trey Whitehead still in second, and now it seems like he's found a rhythm as he continues to put some distance between himself and the number 20 Chevy Silverado of Noah Jackson. Jason Nethery still in that 4th position. He was in 5th before Barletta made a pit stop, and now Charles Whitehead. Maybe another issue here. 51, I think, just got a little wide on the last corner. I'll tell you what, if you're struggling tonight and you don't like these more technical tracks, it's going to be a rough couple of weeks when you look at the fact that, again, we're going to 2 short tracks the next couple of weeks. Richmond isn't too bad, but boy, the Milwaukee Mile, that is a rough track. I mean, it is pretty flat, and it is a very, very tough short track. You got to stay disciplined and really be able to find a rhythm there, and I think that'll fit into the hand of Bryce Rayner, just as Watkins Glen has so far here tonight. So we'll see how it all pans out for Bryce Rayner, but we're talking about points a lot too. And James Harris, with the way things played out last week, and he had a pretty good run, is still your championship leader in the points. And in fact, as it stands right now, he is 14 points ahead of Tyler Meeks with just 4 races left to go. Tyler Meeks again in second, but it's Bryce Rayner third in points. And for Rayner, he is currently almost 20 points behind James Harris. And, you know, when we only have fields of anywhere between probably 13 to 25 trucks, that's a pretty big points gap to try to make up for Bryce Rayner. Even if he wins a lot of these races, as long as James Harris is consistent, it doesn't really matter. Now, 1 DNF, 1 wreck for James Harris, and Rayner is able to stay consistent, then that becomes a big deal. But I just think if you're Bryce Rayner here, you know, you want to get wins, and it obviously helps, but if Harris doesn't make any big mistakes the rest of the season, I think he's going to be a tough guy to try to catch in terms of the point standings, unless you're maybe Tyler Meeks, but we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. Jason Nethery, Robert Wynn, the other 2 in the top 5 for point standings. Chris Logan in 6th, John Thacker 7th, Nathan Meyer 8th, William Mann Jr. 9th, and John Legger rounding out the top 10 for those points standings. And Jason Nethery, I mentioned that nothing about his season really stood out, but one thing that's been there is the consistency in finishing all of these races, and, well, something does stand out, and it's right there what I just told you about in the point standings, him running top 5 in that category. All right, so 12 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. Bryce Rayner still leads. Trey Whitehead 2nd. Noah Jackson 3rd. Jason Nethery 4th. Brock Whitehead 5th. Toby Witterson 6th. Brad Thacker 7th. Tyler Meeks 8th. Harley Barletta 9th. And James Harris rounding out the top 10. And we're going to be coming here to 10 to go in just a couple, which is getting close to where I think these guys are going to need to make that final one and only pit stop if you are one of the leaders. So we'll keep an eye on that, but we are going to go ahead and take one more quick break, and then we'll be here the rest of the way. We'll go side by side, though, so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us here at the Glen.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
And laps to go at Watkins Glen as we welcome you back in to the Watkins Glen 33 for the Grindstone Developments Truck Series. Bryce Rayner still well out in front, but the big question just continues to be, when do we see the pit stop? Rayner and the rest of the leaders, really everyone on back to right around Tyler Meeks, has not made a pit stop yet. Meeks on back has, but again, we continue to wait because eventually these guys have to come in, I would assume, unless there was fuel saving that we missed out on. James Harris decided to go in and get it over with early, but Rayner, and I don't hate this strategy either for Rayner. I mean, you've been running so fast that just run it as long as you can, so that way when you come out, if you feel like maybe you're not in the rhythm, that's okay. There's not that many laps left anyway. So I do like what Rayner's doing here, and Trey Whitehead, by the way, has just continued to stretch the gap between himself and Noah Jackson. That's at about 9 seconds now after those two battled for so long this race. Still a couple drivers towards the back here, struggling with the handling and trying to keep things together. Brock Whitehead had a brief off-track moment there, and now Charles Whitehead, his teammate, he sees getting the wall just ahead. This is going to stack things up here a little bit. Toby Ritter's deciding if he wants to go by here down the front stretch. Those two not battling for position. Excuse me, Ritter's and Whitehead are. Charles is not. But for Bryce Rayner, this time it'll be just 8 laps to go. And here we go. All right, so he's going to make the pit stop this time. You see him go below that yellow. And so he will track in. This will be the one and only stop here. And it looks like for Rayner, he gets in clean. No issues there. Now he's got to make sure that he gets into the pit box with no problems. And after that, he's got to make sure that he does not make a mistake on the exit. Let's see if he decides to take tires here. That's the other thing I'm curious about. I would say with 8 laps to go, there's really no point here. If you're Bryce Rayner, I think you just take fuel only and get going. 99 will bring it into the box, bring it to a halt. Let's see what he goes with here. He is going to take tires. All right, so the 99 decides that he will take tires. And, you know, I will say, if it gives you more grip when you've got that big of a lead, yeah, you might as well. But didn't think Rayner was going to do that. So he'll take 4 tires. get himself a little extra grip here for the last couple of laps of this race. As we now turn our attention back to Trey Whitehead, who's making his pit stop. 71 sees Noah Jackson coming in as well. So there will not be a change in position there. Whitehead with some tires as well. So now he'll get back out on track, and that hands the lead over to Jason Nethery. Right now being scored just about a second and a half in front of Bryce Rayner. Nethery has not made the pit stop, and Rayner still getting ready to catch and pass him here. That shows you just how much of a gap Rayner had made for himself. And so we'll see if Nethery decides to come in this time. And for Bryce Rayner, the next closest truck to him is Brock Whitehead, who's 18 seconds back. A few other trucks have not made the pit stop yet. James Harris, by the way, looks like that pushed him up to 9th for the moment. You know, there's still a couple of drivers that need to make a pit stop that we'll see if that maybe helps things out for Harris a little bit more. And just on cue, Jason Nethery, he's going to bring it down pit road this time. So with 7 laps to go, he is one of your last leaders to pit. That'll hand the lead back over now to Bryce Rayner. And with no more pit stops in sight here and no cautions, Bryce Rayner, this is basically a Sunday drive home to the finish. Just do not let yourself beat yourself. Don't get in a wreck here. Don't spin the truck out trying to do too much off of a corner. So let's go back and start talking about some of these other spots here as we see a few more pit stops. All right, now things could start to shake up more significantly. Brad Thacker is also going to bring it in. That'll push James Harris, Tyler Meeks. Tyler Meeks actually got pushed back up inside the top 4 after things cycled out. James Harris back inside the top 8. Nethery looks like it's going to come out 7th. Harley Barletta, Noah Jackson still right around that top 5 position, and Trey Whitehead was able to return to 3rd. And once Brock Whitehead makes a pit stop, that should put Trey back to that 2nd spot. And I think that those 2 positions, 1st and 2nd, are going to be pretty much locked up here for the rest of this race. Through the carousel, Trey Whitehead. It's been a phenomenal run for him tonight. Be excited to hear what he has to say in the post-race interviews. Tyler Meeks, this is big for him. I mean, we talk about who's going to win this race as he got wicked loose right there, but let's just say things finished exactly how they are now. The difference between where Meeks would finish and James Harris is about 4 spots. And you might think, well, that's not that big of a difference. That's still 4 points. That would cut that deficit down to 10 points, which is definitely doable over the course of 4 races for Tyler Meeks. So this is a big opportunity here, and now Meeks moves up another position. And that's because we just saw Brock Whitehead pit, which is likely going to also move James Harris up another position, but still keeps them separated by 4 at the moment. Tyler Meeks now on the podium. And for Bryce Rayner, the gap between 1st and 2nd, now 22, almost 23 seconds. And we're only showing right now 9 trucks currently on the lead lap. And depending on where Whitehead comes out at, that number could change to 10. Nope. Looks like it's going to stay as... Excuse me, could have changed to 8, but looks like it'll stay as 9. So now just 6 laps to go. 18 miles away for Bryce Rayner from his first win of the season. Had an opportunity last week. Came up a little bit short, and that's really been the story so far this season. He's had a couple of runner-ups, but just has not been able to find victory lane coming off of a season where he won the championship and seemed like he couldn't not find victory lane. Certainly has just not really been the case for him so far this time around. Big opportunity to change that here tonight. He's able to keep this truck in one piece for a handful more laps. Charles Whitehead, by the way, showing another brief off track for both him and Jason Nethery, but I think both of those guys are okay. Maybe a close call, but no major issues. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we are closing in on the end of the Watkins Glen 33. Here from Watkins Glen International. Jason Nethery sitting back in the 6th spot. Bryce Rayner, though, still your leader. He'll see 4 laps to go this time. And probably the only point in the season where it's kind of a weird feeling because for once you don't feel like you're waiting to see that white flag for the sake of, you know, there's not going to be a caution before then, even if there is a wreck. So he's more so just anticipating when that checkered flag flies. And maybe even thinking about how to celebrate. I can't tell you the last time that I broadcasted a race for these guys where somebody had over a 20-second lead, and it may very well be over 25 seconds by the time this race is all said and done here. Now, I'll bring up the track map for you one more time here to show you that I don't think there's going to be... Well, there's a little bit of lap traffic up ahead in the bus stop right now. Bryce Rayner may catch them. That's looks like the 9th and 12th place running trucks. So that would be Mike Hill and Brad Thacker. And again, I think they're going to be okay here. I don't believe that Rayner's going to quite have enough time to catch him, but let's see where he blends off of the carousel at. Well, 3 laps, the pace he's running, he may catch these two. Let's see what Rayner decides to do. Again, you want to be very careful around lap traffic at this point in the race. Definitely don't want to get caught up in an incident. I've seen some crazier things happen, but it'll be 3 laps to go this time. Closing in on the end right here, as it'll be just 7.5 miles remaining now for Bryce Rayner. Excuse me, make it 9 miles remaining here for Bryce Rayner. 99, taking those fresh tires seems to have been the right idea. I mean, he has not had one close call, at least from when we've been watching him all race. A lot of other guys struggled with it, but we'll go back to the field here one more time before we keep things up front. William Mann Jr. and George Young retiring from this race early. Charles Whitehead, the last truck on the track, in 13th. Mike Hill up in that 12th spot, picking up 2 from where he started this race at. Chris Logan, a solid run for him in 11th here tonight. Also up a couple of positions from where he qualified at. He got wicked loose right there. And then Toby Ritters had a phenomenal qualifying effort. Started on 2nd, but things have not gone his way. Back in the 10th spot. Still will be a decent finish, but certainly didn't get to represent the speed that truck had here tonight. Brad Thacker in 9th. And here comes Bryce Rayner, who we talked about whether or not he'd catch these two. It looks like he has, and he'll go ahead and go to the inside of Brad Thacker. No issues there. Brock Whitehead 8th. James Harris in 7th. Jason Ethery 6th, Harley Barletta's in 5th, Noah Jackson 4th, Tyler Meeks in 3rd, Trey Whitehead 2nd. And here is the man of the hour, Bryce Rayner. Sees just 2 laps to go now here at the Glen. He's going to have one more lap truck, it looks like, that he may have to contend with. That'd be the 27 of Mike Hill, but then that would be it. And it would be clear sailing the rest of the way here for Bryce Rayner. You can hear he's taking it easy up the S's. A little bit of a lift in the throttle. He does not want to risk it, knowing how late it is in the race and what's at stake. But I do think he'll catch 27 of Mike Hill, and got to just hope, if you're Rayner, that Mike Hill doesn't have some sort of issue here as you catch him. He's going to get him here in probably the final 2 turns. Coming to the white flag. As Mike Hill gets really wide, Rayner will go ahead and get him a little sooner here. Watch out. Hill, does he get loose? No, he keeps it way off track and out of Bryce Rayner's way. And so that'll be the last obstacle that could potentially get in the way of the 99 here tonight. And so now as he rounds the final corner, he will see the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Watkins Glen for Bryce Rayner. No mistakes. Just a couple of handfuls of corners remaining to be crowned a first-time winner this season. Bryce Rayner through turn 1 clean. Mike Hill still in the background. Again, not for position. That was one of the lap trucks that he had just made his way around as of recent. Final time through the S's for Bryce Rayner. The gap now over 25 seconds. Trey Whitehead 2nd. Nobody near him. Tyler Meeks back in 3rd. Noah Jackson somewhat in the vicinity. We'll talk more about those two battle here in just a moment. First, though, Bryce Rayner now halfway through the final lap as he takes the bus stop one more time. No problems there. Into the carousel. For Bryce Rayner, just 2 corners left. And in a season where it looks like his hopes of fighting for a championship may have been dimming because he just could not find a way to get to victory lane. We went to a road course and things changed because not only was he in contention for the win, but he flat out dominated the competition. It's going to be a 26-second gap between 1st and 2nd as Bryce Rayner comes across the front stretch. This time as a winner, Bryce Rayner gets it done at the Glen. And he's going to be happy with that one as we now turn to the battle between Tyler Meeks and Noah Jackson. Jackson going to be too far back, not going to be able to catch, so it'll be Trey Whitehead who will take home second as he works by Toby Ritters. That is not for position. So Whitehead will go by with no issues, and we will see Meeks finish on the podium. Bryce Rayner slowing it down through the S's here. These guys behind him going to go around, and certainly wasn't the most exciting race that we have seen this season, but nonetheless, it was a clean one, all things considered, and a heck of a victory here for Bryce Rayner. We know he's going to bring it around to celebrate here as we await the rest of the field to finish. To check your final results here tonight. For Bryce Rayner, again, first win of the season after a couple of runner-ups. I got to think he's going to be pretty excited about that one. Especially for it to be that dominant. You see the little fist pump there. So he'll bring it around on the front stretch to celebrate and do a burnout. Take a look at tonight's official finishing results, as again, they are still coming in. It takes a long time for everybody to get around and actually finish the lap at a track like Watkins Glen. That's if we can get the results. There we go. Bryce Rayner, again, is your official race winner here at the road course. Trey Whitehead takes home second. It's Tyler Meeks rounding out the podium. Noah Jackson finishes in fourth tonight. Harley Barletta back in fifth with James Harris sixth. Jason Ethery in seventh. Brock Whitehead eighth. Brad Thacker in ninth. And Toby Ritters rounds out the top 10. Chris Logan finishing in 11th. Mike Hill 12th. Charles Whitehead 13th with William Mann Jr. in 14th. And George Young rounding out the field in 15th. All right, we are going to go grab your race winner along with the other two in the top three for post-race interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Watkins Glen. All right, going to start first here tonight with none other than your race winner. It's the 99 of Bryce Rayner. Bryce, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, we see you celebrate. You finally capture your first win of the season after, I was saying in the broadcast, it felt like last season, it felt like you couldn't not find victory lane. This season, though, it took a lot longer than I think you anticipated. And here tonight, not only do you get the win, but you do it in dominant performance. Was the mindset different tonight, or was this just more a track of your style?
Mindset different, but also this suits my driving style very well. I take pride in my road course stuff, especially over on the Conti side and my digital sim sport teammates, where we do all of our endurance stuff with Craig and everybody. We love doing road racing. Watkins Glen is probably one of my top two road course race, and I just try to maintain. And this past weekend with the SOF races and all that jazz, I felt really connected to the track and the Xfinity car and the truck. So I was just really hoping I would have a good qualifying effort, which we did. A little worse than I thought time-wise, but overall, I knew I had the speed. I just had to put the first 2 laps together just to let the tires warm up. But overall, just try to pull away.
And you did just that. Again, dominant performance here tonight. But going into the race, knowing that there was no cautions and a pit stop that had to be made, did that play into the strategy you decided to go with? Was there any nerves that, man, if I make one mistake here, or knowing I'm not going to get a caution, this could end my race?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's so tough because the bus stop I take is super, super tight, and that's where I gain a lot of my time. With the switchback. Same with up through the S's. So if I do make a mistake, that's pretty much a long way around the track just to get back to pit road for the fast repair. But knowing the speed I had and the time difference from everybody else, even if I did slip up a little bit, I felt like coming into pit there would have been just fine. I did realize when I came in here, the lap count went up by 3. And when I first came in here, I felt like I could save that lap that I needed to go without a pit stop. But since he upped it by 3, that definitely kind of tossed the saving out the window per se, because within 5 laps, I was trying to save there for the first 3, and next thing you know, I was 4 laps short. So I was like, yeah, there's no way. So I just picked up the pace, ran my race, and yeah, hope for the best. I know there's no caution, so that's pretty out the window too. So yeah, run my race, make sure I get into pit road perfect, and get around the track.
Well, you got around the track perfect 33 times tonight to take home the win. So, Bryce, before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, just want to give a shout out to everybody in this league for coming out to the Glen. I know it's no easy task, and sometimes it's not fun. But if you're like me and you take pride in road course racing, whether it's a GT car, whether it's, stock car, pretty much anything. I love to learn a little bit. So that all goes to Craig too over there. I know, I don't know if he's listening or not, but he's helped me a long way through the road course ringing with the stock car and the GT car. So just want to give a shout out to him as well for giving me the tips that I can go fast. Not all of it was him, but a lot of it was me as well. So just want to thank him. Thank you up in the booth for showcasing us on Tuesday nights. Thank Grindstone Developments, James Harris, all the admins, Thacker, you name it. And then last but not least, Digital Sim Sports, like I mentioned before, Martin PC, Team Conti Sim Performance, Sim Magic, and yeah, that's about it.
Bryce, thank you for talking to us. Congrats on the win, first of the season, and hopefully we'll see you next week at Richmond.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. See you next week.
All right, now that's going to go ahead and move us on to your second place finisher here tonight. That is the man in the 71, none other than Trey Whitehead. Trey, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, you bring home second tonight, but I mean, just watching it, part of me thinks it's got to feel like a win. Let's start first, though, with the battle that you had between you and Noah Jackson. You're stuck behind him for so long. He finally makes a mistake, and then, boy, once you got by, you pulled away. What was that all about?
Yeah, he's a teammate of ours at Whitehead Racing. We don't have any whatever team logos or nothing, but it's me, him, Brock, and my dad, Charles. Yeah, we were just going back and forth, and I'd get up to his back bumper, and it's just we have different braking points, and we're both fast on different ends of the racetrack, and I'd just get loose and have to pull back up behind him. And yeah, he just made that one mistake, and I was able to get beside him and make it happen. I barely squeezed by him too. I thought he was going to stick to my inside, but no, it was a lot of fun sliding around everywhere, and I just didn't have anything for Bryce. But yeah, it definitely feels like a win, second place. So.
Yeah, well, you weren't alone tonight. Bryce Rayner on a different planet, but hey, nonetheless, it was still a great run. And now next week, we get back to the ovals, but it is a short track. How are you feeling about your chances at Richmond?
Yeah, Richmond's a good track. We'll see how it goes. I've been kind of part-time here. I missed the last few races, but it'll be a lot of fun to get back into the groove of it and see how we can do at Richmond. So pretty confident. I've got a few league race wins there, and yeah, we're looking forward to it. I mean, we're looking forward to really every track on the schedule. I think we've got a chance at winning, and unfortunately, Bryce Van Gisbergen was in the field tonight, so that was pretty cool to see him drive away. But yeah, second doesn't feel too bad.
All right. Well, before we let you head out, Trey, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, obviously my guys, my teammates, Brock, Charles, my dad, Noah, and you for putting the broadcast on, James for putting the league on, all the other admins, and can't wait to go back and watch it. I'm sure it looked pretty fun, that battle. So,
absolutely. And Trey, thank you for talking to us. Congrats on second, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your third place finisher tonight, the final man on the podium. That's Tyler Meeks. Tyler, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Oh, I got a copy.
Well, you bring it home on the podium tonight, but more importantly, you finish a few spots ahead of James Harris. We look at the point standings. How big was that for you tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to finish up higher than I finished in front of James, but I'll take the 3 points on him. That's 3 more points I got to work at less in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tyler, I want to go back to what we saw mid-race. You were one of the guys who decided to make an early pit stop, and it seems like it worked out. Was that the strategy call from the get-go?
Yes, it was. So wanted to pit early, kind of get away from the chaos because I don't know why, but we were going 2 and 3 wide when we shouldn't have been. So I figured I'd pit. I know we needed fuel, top off fuel. I didn't take no tires. Top off the fuel, get away from everybody, and luckily I came out right in front of I think it was Michael Hill, and I had a 15-second fall off from I think it was William Mann Jr. And then I kind of just worked my way up to the.
Absolutely. Well, Tyler, hey, we
To them, they were
appreciate.
pitting.
Oh, go ahead. I apologize, Tyler. My mic keeps cutting out on you.
Yeah,
Go
you're
ahead
cutting out.
Yeah, finish up on us here.
Oh yeah, I just got behind Brock and they all pit, and I kind of split Trey and Noah with the pit strategy, and just kept the lead from Noah. Couldn't catch Trey. Him and Bryce took tires. So.
Well, nonetheless, the strategy you called still got you on the podium. So, hey, Tyler, we appreciate you talking to us. Before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Just you guys for sure. Grindstone Developments for putting on the race. James for hosting. Everybody in the league for showing up weekly and having fun.
Absolutely. Well, Tyler, congrats again on the 3rd place finish, and we will see you next week at Richmond.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Tyler Meeks, your 3rd place finisher. And with that, that is basically going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Watkins Glen. And what a race it was, but what a win it was, more importantly, for Bryce Rayner, his first of the season, as he gets the job done here tonight. We'll be back next week at Richmond. But until then, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. I hope that you enjoyed. That's it.